Welcome to PowerUp podcast, the podcast that seeks to empower and dismantle, giving us the power and confidence to question, deconstruct, rebuild, and expand in life. I'm your host, AmaRouge, voiceover and multidisciplinary artist, well-being advocate, food and book geek with over 14 years of movement-centered experience.
I am your host, Mesma, artist, choreographer, yogi and coach with a passion for alchemy, creativity, transformation and workplace wellness.
We recognise that we can't dismantle and empower or be empowered without first learning ourselves, diving deeper to unlearn the harmful, restrictive and unprogressive. It's an ongoing practice and journey for us all, which is why we created this podcast.
Our show features guests doing the work to enlighten, deconstruct and power up in their own magical ways.
We're going to be having conversations around the power of healing, transformation, well-being and creativity, and how they feed our personal and collective evolution, how they help us power up. We are back with another episode based all around pelvic power, and we are so blessed to be in space today with Ruth King. Her pronouns are she, her, and Ruth is in a sunny Portugal today, and Ella and I are freezing our asses off in England. Ella has a yoga mat on her lap to keep warm.
It's trying to be a blanket.
So we are completely soaking in the energy of Ruth's space. Ruth has embodied many roles in her life so far. She has been a sacred activist, a moon medicine activist, hairdresser, body worker, yoga and meditation teacher. She is a birth doula. She has worked within the birth movement and continues to do so. On peace agreements, sovereignty, pineal kingdom. She's been a medicine retreat host, and there's more that's going to be coming around Ruth's medicine and sound and music in this chat, which we're really excited about. She's a moon medicine guide, creator guide, and space holder. And she is an advocate and space holder for song as prayer and the therapy. And ultimately, a medicine musician and singer-songwriter as well. So can we just give Ruth a really warm welcome? What a beast.
Bem-vindo, welcome.
I don't know what to say now. I'm like, oh, that's welcome. I'll go home. That's great, and go back to bed.
Absolutely. Just yes to embodying your journey and all your facets of yourself. It's brilliant and it's beautiful, and we welcome it.
So here for it. I met Ruth in Ibiza doing your magic, and you told me about Moon Cave, which is one of the main reasons that we've brought you on here today, with the main things we'd love to speak to you about today. And what I understood of the Moon Cave at the time was that every time that you had your period, you would go into silence for 3 days. And that for me was this really, when something like a message is just delivered at exactly the right time, that I was finding that on my moon time, there was this shift. And you saying that was this permission for me to go, I want to do this too. And so I've been doing that now since I met you. So that's about 1.5 years ago. And I had mentioned the same thing to Amma, and Amma, as of many people that I've kind of spoken about your work to, said, I want to do that too. And, this is just, I think, such fundamental medicine, and that we would love to hear a little bit more. And I'm sure the listeners would too, of what is Moon Cave and how did you come to this work?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I remember first time meeting you in Ibiza. That was so lovely. So moon medicine, Moon Cave. Well, traditionally, when we lived tribally, we would have been in women's sisters, when they bleed, would go into a tent. You may have heard of the red tent movement. And this would be like they really go into a retreat. And at this time, all of their daily duties would be completely taken from them. So you know, cooking, cleaning, childcare, all of it. They would just leave their lives to step into this space for themselves. Now, it was also recognized as, it was like a really revered time for a woman. Like, we've come so far, like society, you know, it's like inconvenient, messy. We do anything we can to like pretend it doesn't happen, carry on,
Yeah.
you know, and that for me is what causes all the dis-ease around, because we are not welcome to just be women, which this is
Yes.
a fundamental innate part of being a woman, is that we bleed. And actually, I'm now in the place where I'm really excited about my period when it's coming, because it's like, oh my God, this is me time. So back to when we were in tribes and it was revered. So often these women you'd sleep with your head next to an altar or next to the center fire if you was in like a teepee or something. And you would often dream dreams of prophecy for your tribe, which would then, the whole tribe would then follow your dreams. Like, we were seers, you know, like it was a
Wow.
really respected time. So I just, yeah, like let even that information land in us, you know, what a big honor this was and how recognized it was by the masculine energy. You know, like we really held and made space for this to go in, and how important and vital it is. So it was coming from that. So the more I learned about it, I read different books, and I was just like, it just came to me crystal clearly that I absolutely have to do this. My nan was she's one of the biggest inspirations in my life. She was a mother of 7, grandmother of 26. And
Wow.
she's like the West Indian half of my family. So she was always in the kitchen, always cooking chicken and rice, always the best food on the go. And there's always like, but she literally devoted herself to her family, which in my family and not only my family, I see it all over, but this selfless giving to the point where actually we've left nothing for ourselves, and we're
Yeah.
completely depleted and even
Yeah.
bitter as a result of it. And we're spent, you know, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she died of cancer, or in the lymph nodes. She was a really big lady. And I just really felt that had she of exercised, had she have taken care of herself, she would have been with us a lot longer. And so I was so close to her. She taught me about unconditional love, and she lived with us for a while. So when she passed, it hit me really strong. So I really made the pact to follow this path really for her. And my first year of doing it, each season I went into, so each quarter of the year, I actually branded my wedding finger, because I was like, I'm marrying myself. This is how serious I am about this path. So I've got like 4
Yes.
little rings on my finger where I'm marrying myself before anybody else, because until that shift happens, any other relationship's not going to work anyway.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I really like embraced it in that way. And I also felt really clear that, so this version of silence that I practice and that we're practicing is nothing incoming, because just by listening to somebody offloading, we're holding all the time for others, and
Yeah.
it's exhausting. And we
Yeah.
need to see what we need to hold, you know, what needs to come out of us, what needs holding for us. So what I literally do is, this silence for 3 days means technology is off, no screens. I actually turn my phone off and put it in a drawer somewhere or on my altar. So it's off. For the 3 days. There's quite a bit of preparation that goes around being able to do that, because, you know, we have lives, and if we just switch off, then that's, you know, makes it complicated. So preparing for that. But so basically, and then everyone around me knows, don't talk to me in this time. I'm in silence. If I'm living in community, I won't make eye contact, because even in the little eye contact and that little smile to make that person feel a little bit more comfortable, because you're not talking to them. This is people pleasing. All these layers, people pleasing, all this stuff that comes up when that gets in the way of me just going into silence, is the stuff
Yeah.
I need to drop anyway. So that's what makes it a medicine journey. So it's really watching what comes and being aware and mindful of that, and really literally listening to my body as goddess over everything. Like, she guides me. I normally sleep loads. Like, the first day, I'm probably going to sleep and I can literally sleep all day and night. When my moon first arrives, I
I'm
can
not
do that.
surprised.
So much sleep, and I have amazing dreams, prophetic dreams that come true. And so to be able to really go into that space, it's it takes like the communication of the people around you. Other times I've gone off, like, so I've had a camper van, and I've literally just taken myself off and gone to nature. And then I just let myself do whatever I want to do. So I will pack my favourite foods and drinks, loads of coconut water, rose tea. I totally goddess it up. So all my favourite things. I try and avoid any stimulants because it's really a journey by itself, you know? So like the what's happening, my energies, and like just watching all of it and the emotion. And it is welcome. Like, everything is welcome. It is a time when I give myself absolute, complete, unapologetically permission to be, you know? So it's like in all of it. And so the same as the moon cycle, in our dark moon, so this is the day one when you start to bleed. This is our dark moon. This is the death. It's the winter. And then, 1, 2, and 3. So you're still bleeding. And this is the shedding. We're releasing, we're letting go. And in that time, the energy, it's like weeding as well. You see farmers around. Like, this is a really prime time for weeding. So the energy that we bring to ourselves and that we hold and that we literally command from the universe will only perpetuate more. So if during your period I know I've got to go in silence, but I just haven't got time, and there's no time for it now. Okay, you for sure have not got time for the rest of your month. You've not got time, and that beginning of feeling, there's no time for me. By the end of the month, you're very likely going to be overwhelmed. It's going to escalate to one of those months, where you just, oh my God, it's a shipwreck. So whatever energy we bring is there. So, often I'll have a really good cry or shout and scream, actually, if it wants to.
Love it.
Right, I do lots and lots of writing, loads of writing, and just let it all flow. Whatever it is, let it all flow, And literally every time I have some sort of revelation about my life, about, something lands in me, and I'm just so grateful for the practice. And it's a real, I'm in my 9th year now, and it is a way of life. And so actually, this is really early on, because we would have started traditionally when we started to bleed. It would have just been automatic. So it's still really early in it, but it's recognizing the journey and the developments in the journey, and how that energy that I bring to myself it's literally, we're commanding it from the universe. It's reciprocated. It comes back to me without trying. The try is swimming against the current of life, which is so externally facing.
Yeah.
So going against us going in. We're in the age of distraction. Yeah, babe. Isn't it the best book in the world? The Heroine's Journey.
I'm just had to show you that because it's just arrived, and we've been talking about this quite a bit as well. Like, this is it, isn't it? It's coming back to the feminine and coming back to that whole self where we listen to everything within every part of us, and not doing this kind of, we live in a society that demands this of us, so push down certain elements of us. And this for me is what your work is. It's reawakening or coming back home to your body and listening to yourself again.
Yes. I've got
Ruth, go for it. No, you go.
No, I was just going to say Maureen Murdoch, because we said the name of the title, and I want to make sure book, she's epic, and it really explains in detail how this yin, the feminine energy, comes with, because we live in a yang society and culture, comes with a heavy feeling of inadequacy. A heavy feeling of unworthiness, because we're not doing, achieving, going, and it's just recognizing that that is part of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is right now. And actually, without allowing ourselves the discomfort of just, you know what? Okay, I'm just going to feel that right at this moment. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just being. And yeah, it doesn't look like much to you, but I tell you what, I'm really feeling myself. And you're going to
Yes.
see when I hit my full moon and I'm in my mojo and I'm ovulating, you're going to see why this is really good. You know, like it all comes to part of it. Sorry, Emma, I cut across you.
No, that was really important. I'm wondering and thinking that our listeners may want to know about the practical application of this if they maybe have a job where they have to turn up to a designated space or place, or if they maybe aren't super, if their periods aren't like clockwork and they can't schedule in when their first 3 days will be, and they have to react quite quickly to try and carve out this time for themselves. I'm wondering if you can give some practical tips on how they can actually allow themselves this time if the lifestyle that they're in maybe doesn't lend itself to it so much.
Absolutely. So I'm putting together a course at the moment that will, before spring, be going live, and it's specifically for this because there's so many. I mean, I have lived through choice a lot of it. I mean, yeah, I've had so much freedom in my life and space to go wholeheartedly into this. Like, I haven't got children. I'm self-employed, you know, so it is, everything's facilitated it, but absolutely for the, you know, the mums that are overworked and feeling burnt out. And so there's, if, for example, okay, you asked lots of different ones then. So let's say if you've got irregular periods and you don't know when it's due, for example. So with that, yes, you can't plan. You can keep, for example, a stash of your favorite foods around, or you know, or ready. This is like your moon supply, and you just
Love
keep
that.
it for that time, so it's sort of ready for you. And but also communicating it with the people in your life so that they understand that this is something that you want to do. And this is something you really need. And it is medicinal. It brings balance on so many levels, to the hormones,
Yeah.
to the emotions. We have such a deeper understanding of ourselves as a result of it. So that communication is really important. If you're working for someone, I mean, there's some places that actually have incorporated it into their business, where women have 3 days off a month because they recognize that the productivity soars, and it absolutely does.
Yeah.
So even if you're only thinking of, you know, business and money, it's actually really pays to do this. So having that, I think a lot of it, really, the preparation is very much around the communication. People
Yeah.
understand what it's about. Lots of people, yeah, I mean, for myself over the years, it's been a real journey to explain that, and to make it clear, and often actually to my closest loved ones. And I'm like, I've had like different sisters in the community, or, you know, where I am, like, really thank me and really see what I'm doing, because it is for the collective. That's what we
Yeah.
need to remember, that yes, on an individual level, this is definitely giving me medicine in my personal life, but as a collective, the power it brings me is for all of us, because we emanate it for each other and we instantly rise together, because this is what we're doing, you know. And so me, like Ella, you hearing me and meeting me, meeting each other, and me sharing it with you at the beginning, how you immediately felt, you know, this happens all the time. We just share it and we're like, this is exactly what I need. And we're like, we know it, we feel it,
Yeah.
yet we don't do it because it's inconvenient or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. So it's making the space. If you've got children, for example, tell them, explain to them, you know, at this time, if mum starts bleeding, I'm going to start wearing red. I'm going to wear this red top or this red flowers. Maybe you got some silk flowers because you haven't got time to go and get some. If you can buy yourself fresh flowers, heaven. But, you know, if you see these flowers out on the side, this means mum is bleeding for the next 3 days. That means you've got to ask mummy, or you've got to ask daddy, or you've got to ask nan, or you've got to actually just try and sort yourself out more, because I don't want, I need to be with myself. And it's really important that we teach our children that we need our own time. This is really
Yes.
important for our sanity, because otherwise
Yeah.
we're raising children that don't know healthy boundaries and how to take time for themselves. And then they
Yeah.
have the same imbalances and burnout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they model the same behavior.
Absolutely. So for them, it's really important that they learn, do you know what? Can it wait? And it can all pretty much always wait, can't it? But, you know, can it wait? Can you ask someone else? Can you do it yourself? What does that look like? Can you try and do it yourself? I'm not suggesting that we neglect our children. We, of course, are responsible for their safety and well-being at all times. But maybe there's some room in that. As in, maybe they can make their own food. Maybe you can just let that cleaning go for a few days. It's going to look really different for all of us. We've all got completely different lives, but it's worth really taking a look at it.
And going back to your nan and this dis-ease, this unlearning of people pleasing and this unlearning of putting everyone else's needs before your own is, for me, a part of the awakening and is a part of the healing of the whole society, because I really feel that the female has been put in that role for far too long, and that when we start to say no and we start to really look after ourselves first, actually we are better humans. And like you said, you know, the evidence is in the workplace that people are more productive, but this is causing ripples everywhere of when we look after ourselves, we're actually better human beings, and we're more able to provide those vital lessons for our children, for, you know, for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Totally. Going back to the disease, I just got sent something recently, which was talking about women menstruating, and that actually the whole menstruation is a disease, and that it's not natural to bleed, and that it's a symptom. The reason we have disease in our body is because it's not natural to bleed. And I really strongly disagreed, actually, because for me, I just see cycles in everything, and that is what this teaching has brought. It's recognized as one of the most ancient shamanic practices, and the cycle that I recognize in my own life, in my each day, week, month, year, and I see it everywhere, and it makes so much sense. Things make so much sense all of a sudden. Everything has a cycle, a birth and a death.
Yeah,
Everything.
absolutely.
It really does. So it really makes sense to me that we have this. And for me, the symptoms that we get is more as a product of our environment and society than our than the actual thing, you know. So it's more that we know inside that it doesn't serve us to be a woman in this life right now, actually. You know? And I'm
That's
saying
so
that as a
sad.
really, no, but do you understand what I'm saying? I've got goosebumps saying it. I am so grateful for being a woman, and I'm so pro women. Like, I'm actually an advocate for equality, is what is important to me. Okay, so I, in that sense, so I am also very often find myself in cultures where the men actually are quite suppressed and the women are really out there doing their thing, and the men are not appreciated. And then I'm having different conversations, but I feel like it's really important that we that the women that we acknowledge that, you know, business, it's so outward facing and so based on performance. And I didn't even want to say patriarchy, because but that just the energy, we can even come back to it as the yin and yang, which I'm way more comfortable with, because it's beyond gender in some sense, but that we are looking at a planet that is drenched in yang energy, like outward facing.
And I mean, I don't think patriarchy means masculine, actually. For me,
Nice.
patriarchy is a system, and that doesn't, it's not talking about being male. It's just a system that we're living in, which actually is connected to colonization as well. It's, you know, it's about inequality as well. And so for me, the word patriarchy is not, it's not insulting the male at all. It's just recognizing that we're in a system that's not supporting our human natures.
Yeah. The balance within all of us. It's not serving the brothers or the sisters.
I mean, I know we want to talk about your mentorship program, Ruth, and like I'm signed up, coming. You've got a first follower right here. But I do want to ask something about like pain and like, you know, there's so many layers to having a period, right? And like for me, one of the first unlearnings of this was as an Ashtanga teacher or an Ashtanga practitioner, and understanding that was like a first step for me as someone that, you know, I grew up as a breaker. I loved aerial silks. I would be like that one going like, I'm not taking a rest. I can do everything. Like, and I used to hate that word. Like, in fact, one of my coaches of breaking, he used to say it all the time. And it was like my biggest pet peeve: stop being a girl.
Oh, God.
So, it, you know, like all the swear words would want to come out. But again, I was still in that oppression where I wouldn't even say what I was really thinking. I would just like hold it all down and keep going. And so I did the same in my periods. And that was a huge kind of learning of, first of all, just not doing anything. But I wonder if there's a connection with period pain, if you've noticed any change. And like, as someone who did suffer with really bad period pain, I used to be sick when I was a teenager quite often. If you've noticed any change over the 9 years that you've done this work.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of my menarche, that's when we first start to bleed, I had, which is very, very common and natural, super irregular periods. So amenorrhea, that's called. And agonizing pain where I literally was on all fours and ended up in hospital, dysmenorrhea. And I could, you know, bleed for 3 weeks and then have nothing for 6. And, you know, so it was all this. And
My periods are exactly like that when I first started.
yeah, which actually is really natural because the body's just warming up, and it does a very similar thing at the end of the cycle. When we stop again, we go back into this, you know, it's slowing down. So I had all these really strong symptoms, and then I went on the mini pill when I was 16, like completely ignorant of, you know, at a time when mostly did listen to the doctor and trust the doctor to put my health as a number one priority. Now don't really see it the same anymore. Think of it more as a business, unfortunately. But yeah, I came off the pill, I think I was like 30 and I'm 44 now. So, and then I had complete like clockwork, my periods, like just symptomless clockwork. And then I had migraines. That's not true. I had migraines. So through doing this, I would say definitely the symptoms have eased because I've made space for it. And most of the symptoms are as a result of not having space, and my body's fighting against itself.
Yeah.
You know, like
And stress as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to like
impacts
work,
pain, doesn't
hold
it?
space or drive or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I just need to be lying down and sleeping. But rarely do we listen to what our bodies need. We just force it to do something else and it fights back. And I see that that's actually what's happening most of the time. But then again, like you said, it's on so many layers because some of us can have, you know, I don't know what our personal journey is with sexuality. I don't know what it is if we've had religion. Just there's so many different layers that can come in, that can play with specifically this, you know, that do come into play with this. And so but that also are things that will come up during the silence, to really be with that, with ourselves, asking our bodies, you know, feeling and just hearing and listening and like having the space. So
Yes.
So Ruth, how can our listeners sign up for your program?
there will be a link in the show notes. Also on my Instagram, I'm going to be posting a lot of information as well and having little videos out.
And they can also find more about your crowdfunder, right?
Yes, exactly. So over the years, along with the moon medicine, I've really learned to value the medicine of music and song. And it's literally helped me through some complete rock bottom times. And so I've now come to a place where I've written lots of different songs have come through that wanted to come out. And I've written these songs very much, they're like mantras, words exactly that I need to hear that lift me in that moment. And then when I share them, it turns out that actually they're exactly what other people need to hear, and it really lifts them as well. So I love to share the songs in a circle. I found my voice only maybe like 9 years ago also, in a singing
Wow, it's all
circle.
connected.
Yeah, in a singing circle. And the beauty of the circle is no one's performing. It's not about what you sound like. It's not a gig. It's not, it's not a performance. It's a prayer, and we're praying for things way bigger than ourselves. So it's about getting out of the way. And I mean, I had so many hang-ups with my voice and being able to express myself. And, I sounded like Marge Simpson for most of my life. Really?
I love you.
I really did. It's not a joke. And in between Marge Simpson and Dot Cotton, I really sounded like that.
I'm trying to think of both their voices. I feel like, can we just insert like a little clip of the two voices? Yeah.
And just mix them in. It's hilarious. And then I ended up having it's a bit of a long journey, but with my voice, I was prescribed some antibiotics with penicillin in. I'm allergic to penicillin. My airways closed down. I nearly died.
Oh
I had
gosh.
my throat lanced without anaesthetic. It was like a horror movie. And then my speaking voice changed from that moment. And within a couple of weeks, I found a singing circle, and I
Wow.
started singing. And it literally just completely opened up for me. And at the same time, I had like my first ayahuasca experience. And then since then, I was working a lot closely with it. And various plant medicines. And the same teachings I got over and over again is that we are our own medicine. You are your own medicine. But the main message I got from Mama Ayahuasca is she literally gifted me a prayer. And the prayer is, may you not need, want, or yearn for anything outside of yourself, because you are your own medicine. And that I took forward into everything, all my retreats. And so really using the medicine that it gave me, which is my voice. And my voice, just not because it sounds good, because it feels amazing for me. And then other people to tune into that for themselves, and then to hold a space safe enough that brand new people that believe they can't sing can access that vibration within their own bodies and heal themselves. And it's literally like strengthening a muscle that afterwards we have, you sing in a circle when you didn't believe you could. You sing, and it blends in. No one can hear if it's you anyway. It doesn't matter. So you sing, and then the next thing you know, you are really speaking and articulating your truth to someone at a whole new level that you didn't know you could. And then you're singing again. And then, and it just perpetuates this really beautiful healing journey.
I really think it's no coincidence that this work is connected, that you're working on the womb and the throat, and that these two spaces are actually connected in terms of one and the other. It's as above, so below. So that it's just this beautiful healing that you're on. I want to sign up for your singing course too, but we'll definitely be sponsoring your crowdfunder, and would love to hear that album.
Amazing, thank you. And so the intention behind the album is they're all prayer songs, and it's to really help facilitate people to sing them in their own homes. So even if you're locked down, or you're in solitude, or you're just wherever you are, to really have these beautiful lyrics that make your heart sing, to just like embody that and to sing that out.
Well, I, for one, am totally there, Ruth. That whole description of your program completely resonated with me, and I'm doing continuous work on using my voice and on my throat chakra. So actually a lot of what you said just really hit. And so I definitely am going to be in one of those circles whenever they begin. I'm really excited for it. Yeah, it's really important work, and music really is medicine. And I think a lot of people recognize this because of how music can change our vibrational energy, can change how we feel in a moment. And so I think it's wicked that you're doing deeper work with this, and I'm super here for it.
And I love that we are our own medicine as well, that coming back home to ourselves. I'd love to just share this little moment with our listeners as well, Ruth, of that time when I messaged you. I was in Newcastle working on a gig, and I'd got in the shower, and a friend of mine, actually it was someone on the Goddess Path, which is my program, my 9-month program, and they had shared this music that they thought was really high vibration in our group chat. And I put it on to go and have a shower, and I was having the shower and I was like, who is this goddess voice singing, healing my heart? I know that voice. And I just kept on being like, I know that voice. And it was Ruth. It was so cool. Just to be like, because this was a recording in Portugal at the time. I didn't know that you were in Portugal at that time. I thought you were in Ibiza. And to just be like, there's Ruth sharing her magic, unapologetically being herself and recognizing the medicine that she shares with the world. So thank you for being you. Thank you for your medicine.
Thank you, darling. Gave me goosebumps. Thanks for that.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Ruth, and being here and sharing yourself with us, and sharing also effectively your hopes for the collective as well, and what you're doing, to open up space and reawaken us and bring ourselves closer to who we truly are. Super, super grateful for humans like you who are not only living the work, but also enabling and sharing the work. So thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, thank you for this space and for what you're doing as well, really spreading the word and doing greatness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. You can connect to us and our guests via the links in each episode's show notes. Before you go, we invite you to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the goodness to come. And if you enjoyed today, perhaps tell a friend to tell a friend. We are always grateful for you, our listeners, for our fabulous guests, and to everyone who has contributed to and been a part of our journey here.
Our music is by Tomo Carter. Everything else is brought to you by us, the PowerUp Power Team.
I'm Mesma.
I am AmaRouge, and we are PowerUp Podcast.